Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. It is your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. Thank you so much for tuning into this particular video over here on LMH Police Consulting, LMH Consulting Services. I changed the name, so I kind of get a little confused there. So LMH Consulting Services, where I do police expert testimony, talk about all things police related, criminal justice related. I am an adjunct professor, so I do a bunch of stuff and involved with the criminal justice system. So I wanted to kind of join in here. Let's see, where do I want to put this at? I'm gonna put myself. Sorry about that. I think I'll put myself down here a little bit. So right here, we're going to talk about a video here from Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne the God, I guess, I don't know very much about him. I know he's a member of the Breakfast Club. I have reacted to a few of his other Breakfast Club clips in which they try to give out information in a more comedic way, breakfast or morning show related way. He and his partner DJ Envy, who I believe is himself going through a little bit of an ordeal with the criminal justice system as well. I am not a lawyer. I am only been a police officer for a few years. And so that's just a little bit about me. Adjunct professor, been a police officer for more than 20 years, was a high-ranking member of our command staff, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to talk today because Charlemagne the God has put out some information that I understand and trying to discuss the Jonathan Majors incident. And so I was having a conversation with my son, and we were talking about this whole situation, trying to understand, what was understood, this sea of information, of bad information that is the internet, where people think they know and they don't really know, and all this type of thing. So I'm going to react to this video, and if I have to stop and pause it, maybe put up some information, then I will. I've been accused of not doing my research, which I try to do. When I don't know something, I have no problem saying I don't know, and I'm not going to research everything, every single court case, because I do expert testimony work. And when I am being paid for my services, then I certainly will research the case. If there is something I don't know, then I certainly don't have a problem with doing a little extra work. But my time is valuable, just like everyone else's. But this is simply a reaction video. A previous video that I did was simply I think it was simply a reaction video, trying to go over the case and what it is. And I'm trying to dispel misinformation or disinformation that is out there. So in this particular case, Jonathan Majors, as we all know by now, was arrested and convicted of assault. He was arrested for 4 charges, I believe, and he only got convicted of unintentional assault, causing an injury unintentionally, and harassment. Now, the first charge was that he had attacked someone, and I think the jury found that in essence he didn't really mean to cause the injury. I did read this, so I'm not just making this up because I'm accused of doing research. So he was not found guilty of intentionally causing injury. But in other words, you get into an argument and fight. Now, every law is going to be different from county, city, and state, right? State laws usually are the highest level, right? Some counties have their own laws and things along those lines. So you have to look at New York state laws and the way that they break things up, right? So I could get into the 4 mens rea mindsets, the willingness or recklessness, intentional, knowingly, et cetera, right? So the question I think that they put forth to Jonathan Majors was, did he knowingly or recklessly cause damage or injury to whatever her name was? And the jury said no, but he did cause damage, right? He should have found essentially what they said was he should have found a better way of disengaging from this woman. I don't know. Somebody snatches the phone out of your car out of your hand while you're in a car. What is the best method for reacting to that? Jump out the car and run down the street, call the police, and act like a complete beta male? I don't know what the answer is. They're not giving us the answer. And this is the frustration that many men and many people are having with this types of laws. What do we do in this situation? Am I under no I can defend myself in no way. People just snatch things out of my hand. I just got to take it. Okay, maybe it's not some stranger. Maybe I can defend myself in a restaurant from a stranger. But my loved one, my significant other, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, they snatch something out. I just got to take that. I just got to run and call the cops. These are untenable, unrealistic standards that I think that the majority of people are very, very frustrated with. But my critique today is not of the criminal justice system as we know it. My critique today is of this misinformation. Again, I'm having a conversation with my son, and he's saying some things about the jury system. And he said that the information that he got from the jury system comes from this particular video that he sent me. So I'm going to react to it. I started watching, I got about a minute, and I said, you know what, let me do a reaction video to this. So I got to the point where they started pulling up the articles and trying to read through the articles on CNN, and they had some confusions there. So let's get into it. We're going to watch this together. This is my first and initial reaction. I'm going to give my reactions to Charlemagne the God's commentary, because this is where people get their information. And unless you're getting it from a lawyer, somebody involved with the criminal justice system, you have to take what somebody else is saying with a grain of salt, right? So here we go.
With headlines instead of actually looking at...
Let me back this up.
Pull up the Jonathan Majors story.
I thought he was found guilty.
You see, that's y'all problem.
It's like partially guilty.
No, he was.
But see, that's the problem I have with this whole conversation. People lead with headlines instead of actually looking at the details of the situation. Now,
I agree with that. You got to get the details. You got to read into things, right, before you start commenting on things, because I've been accused of not doing research. So you can't just read a headline. You got to, read into these things, right? And I did read, when I was accused of not doing research, I actually read an article, but that's neither here nor there.
Click on what actually happened in court this past week. Jury, click on the CNN one. Jury finds Jonathan Majors guilty of assault and harassment. Now, when you hear that, what do you think?
Well, they said over her fingernail. Yeah.
But when you hear it, what do you like? It's over her fingernail. He was accused of twisting her arm, punching her in the back of the head.
Yeah, but he was only guilty of hurting her finger.
That's my point. So the larger charge of twisting her arm, punching her in the back of the head, he was found not guilty of. Essentially, what he got two misdemeanors. He got found guilty of two misdemeanors. Pull up the article back up, Taylor. Oh.
Yeah, Taylor's about to have some issues here, and I would have some issues too. Why would you get off the article? So yes, he got convicted. I believe he was arrested for 4 charges. He got convicted of 2. The harassment charge I talked about. Harassment means they had to prove that this was a system of a system. This was an ongoing problem of him sending unwanted text messages, whatever constitutes harassing behavior in the state of New York. Unwanted text messages, following someone, going to their job constantly, routinely, after you've been told to stop, leaving messages, emails, all unwanted. All of this is unwanted. That is a system of harassment. I'm going to get you. I love you. I want you back. When you continue to do those types of things you've been told to stop, that is a system. That is a pattern of harassment. Don't do those types of things. So he was found guilty of that. So in other words, that the prosecutor in this case went to the court and presented the case to the jury and said, here are all the emails, here are all the text messages, here are all the times this woman told him to stop, here are all the times he showed up at her house, here's the emails and text messages that she sent to her friend saying, hey, listen, this guy's doing this, what should I do about it? All this evidence and proof. So he got found guilty of that. So let's not forget that. So before we all, want to come to Jonathan Majors' defense, we got to recognize that they got found guilty of that by 12 individual people who the prosecution said there was sufficient evidence to bring this to. So the other charge I do have a problem with as far as the unintentional thing. But again, I wasn't in court, right? So let me start off. Let me also bring this up before we continue on the video. The reason I wanted to react to this is because we had the conversation about juries and how my son and I had a conversation about how unreliable they are, how they are how come they're unfair as far as the ratio, the racial makeup, the ratios and things. So I said, first thing you got to do is you got to go to court. Right? Everybody wants to get out of jury duty. They don't want to take the time off. They don't want to, all these different parameters to jury duty. First thing you have to do as an African American or a woman or a white person, whatever you are, the first thing you have to do is you have to go. You can't keep filing for extensions and exemptions. You have to go. And so from there, you have to actually, be selected for that particular case. Now, again, I taught a class called Race, Ethnicity, and Crime. And in that class, we take a look at incidences of what happens when the prosecutor is a different color, what happens when the judge is a different color, particularly a white judge, black defendants, prosecutors white. We take a look at all these different types of things. It's going to vary so much, but we take a look at these what we try to believe is the latest data statistics as far as sentencing and when there's a white judge and how much time they're giving, things along those lines. So when you take a look at, and the same thing we do with juries, right? So how often are you participating in the jury process? So I put this question to my son, not trying to put him on the spot, but he's like, oh, I was this, I'm that, I'm exempt and this, that. Okay, but if somebody else is claiming these exemptions and they're not going, then you are not part of the process. They can't keep you off of the juries if you don't go, right? They cannot keep you off of the juries if you don't go. They can only keep you off of the juries if you actually show up and try to participate, right? And then we can go through the voir dire and how many unchallenged exemptions and exclusions that judges, prosecutors and defense attorneys have, and we can talk about that kind of thing. And I'm sure that that's going on. I'm not saying that juries are 100% perfect. I'm not saying that the selection process isn't 100% perfect. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that you have to first be part of the process before you can complain about the process. So if you're not a part of the process, whether it's jury selection or voting, you really don't have much to say about the process, do you? Okay, so first thing you got to do is you got to go. Then if you feel as if you're being kept off for any reasons, then you have to figure out what type of remedies your particular legal system, your county or your state has to rectify those particular problems. Are the prosecutor constantly keeping young black jurors off of young black defendants' cases? Is that a case? Is that something that's going on? Can he prove that through the data? Then I think that you would have a case and you should certainly seek for some type of remedy. Yes, you should. Okay, before I bore you all too much, let's get back to this case, and hopefully we'll get back to those cases, to what I was talking about before. So let's get back to Miss, whoever their name is having problems with her. Yeah.
Let me be professional here and read the breakdown, even though Taylor just moved away from the news report to go to her Cliff Notes. Do we trust Taylor's Cliff Notes or do we trust... Now, mind you, Taylor's notes are a neighborhood talk article.
No, they're not.
She moved away from CNN to go to a neighborhood talk article.
I just
want y'all to know that.
No, I put this...
That was very bad. You move away from a CNN article, supposedly trusted, although I don't really trust it anymore. And but you move away from that, just go to some unprofessional article and look at his face. Why would you do that? Right? Why would you do that? Right? We're trying to be professional here. Be professional. If you got to take notes, you ought to have a sheet of paper or something else that's separate from the monitor. I shouldn't have to be able to tell you that. But here we go.
First of all, I put the neighborhood talk thing so y'all can see what Megan, whatever her name is.
Sure, but why do we do this as a people? Why do we go away from trusted news sources like CNN?
But who said
that goes see and salute the neighborhood talk, respect neighborhood talk? But just think about that mentality. You were on CNN, huh?
I'm just saying this stuff right here wasn't from it.
But that's all previous stuff. It says a verdict is expected. Yeah, see, here we go. A New York jury on, this is CNN.
And she's arguing. Isn't this his show? Listen, this is... I understand his frustration. Let me go back to the look in his face. Let me try to see if I can go back to the look in his face. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I want to get the look on his face. And I don't know why. Why would you do that? Look at that. Look at that. I gotta print this. I gotta print this screen here. This is gonna be my this is gonna be my That's going to be the thumbnail right there. Why would you do that? You know, and yes, and you did something crazy unprofessional. Instead of just saying, yeah, okay, you're right, this, that, and the other, you're arguing with the guy. And it's his show. He's the boss. He's running things from sitting in the chair. Okay. I've got to get off my soapbox here. We got to do better as a people. Got to do better.
New York jury on Monday found actor Jonathan Majors guilty of assault. Damn, Alex, you just gonna fart like that?
Come on.
Bro, God
We
damn.
just just started.
That's what I'm saying.
Not even 5 minutes in.
We trying to talk about some serious stuff. You just gonna fart?
You gonna shoot already?
A New York jury on Monday found actor Jonathan Majors guilty of assault and harassment of his former girlfriend during a domestic dispute. Majors, a rising star who has appeared in Disney's Marvel franchises and Creed 3, was convicted on Monday of 1 count of reckless assault in the 3rd degree and a non-criminal charge of harassment as a violation. Both of them were misdemeanors. He was acquitted on another assault charge and 1 count of aggravated harassment. So essentially, he got charged with the video you see when you see him, I guess, taking his phone and then taking her and then putting her back in the car and then taking off running.
Yeah.
That's the misdemeanor assault charge.
Him protecting himself.
Why isn't there more conversation around the 2 larger charges him being found not guilty on?
Because this is America and you expect that from an interracial relationship.
Damn.
Like, what type of question was that?
Damn. So you think this is just straight racial?
Yeah. Of course. And not to mention, it was right after Creed just dropped. He just got a major contract with Marvel. I feel like we see this time and time again with any of our large black stars.
We do have to stop acting like that's such a big deal, though. You know, even when I heard Jonathan on the phone and Jonathan was talking and he was like, he's doing great things for the culture. We can insert the call. He's doing great things for the culture and great things in the world. It's like, bro, it was Creed 3 in that, man. You know, that's not changing the world, guys.
Okay. Granted, I meant more so maybe not doing things for the culture. That's his. I just meant he's doing good as a black man.
When y'all say things like that, I'm gonna tell you why it don't make sense to me, because there's not these powers that be that care that he got a contract with Marvel. There's not these powers that be that care he did Creed 3. Now, is there always a racial component to it? Absolutely. We've been seeing that since the beginning of time. But my point with saying all that is there's poor black people poor black men who don't have any of the things that Jonathan Majors have had, who've had situations with white women, who've experienced worse fates. Okay? You know, I mean, way worse fates. So I don't like when people just chalk it up to entertainment.
I think it's...
Okay, so I think I see his point there, and I actually kind of agree, right? So, yes, there's a lot of things going on here. So what is, to chalk it up to the culture, I think we have such a low standard of what it means to be doing something for the culture. Anytime somebody seems to be doing anything positive, then are we always going to jump on that bandwagon and say he's doing it for the culture? What exactly is he doing to advance the culture? He was a bad guy in both of those movies. It wasn't like he was portraying a super positive image of black manhood. And listen, I actually appreciate, and I don't have any problem when people say, oh, the last few bad guys we've gotten, Creed 3 was the bad guy, Jonathan Majors was the bad guy in Ant-Man, he's going to be the big villain, and who's the other one we had from Marvel? The high evolutionary was the black guy, his character. I don't have a problem with any of that because it takes intelligence to be a black guy. I mean, to be, well, yes, it takes intelligence to be the supreme leader, high evolutionary, intelligent person to be that. So for a long time within Hollywood, we were just a sidekick. We weren't deemed smart enough to be a superhero, deemed smart enough to be the main villain, right? So when you are elevated yourself to that level. So this digresses from the point of what I wanted to get to. So was Jonathan Majors doing anything for the culture? Yes and no, because yes, other young black males may be looking up to him and saying, okay, I want to be like that one day. Let me stay in school, attend art school, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have a problem with that. But let's continue on with the case at large.
I think it's race and I think it's status. I think it's both.
It could be status when you're looking at the DA Alvin Bragg. I've heard people say that. People say, DA Alvin Bragg likes these kind of cases. I don't know what to be true and what's not to be true. But all I know is I was watching CNN the other day, man, and I saw them having a discussion about the Jonathan Majors case, and nobody once said These are 2 misdemeanors. Now one time did somebody say he was charged with 2 misdemeanors. Now one time did they say the larger allegations of what the prosecution was saying, which was the twisting of the arm and punching in her head. Nobody said he was found not guilty on those. Everybody just runs with the headline, assault and harassment. There's no context to it, no nuance to it whatsoever, and he's dropped from Marvel now.
I can appreciate
that Marvel headline came out instantly.
They were ready.
Yeah, they were
instantly.
They were ready.
They wanted to.
But my point is, do you think that if there was an actual conversation about the nuance of what happened, the nuance of what he actually was found guilty of, you don't think Marvel would have been like, you know what, I think we can stand by that.
I feel like Marvel
Put him in some anger management, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Marvel was trying to get him out of there anyway.
Why?
Nobody's having that conversation either.
But I feel like Marvel was trying to get him out of there because they were so quick.
Because Phase 5 sucks.
Exactly. If Ant-Man performed better and the show did a little bit better, they would have been like, there's a little nuance here.
I hate when these companies try to take these moral stands.
Yeah.
Phase 5 sucks.
Yeah.
Yes, phase 4, phase 5 are terrible. Phase 3, I don't know what happened. Well, I do know what happened, but you have to admit it. You have to be willing to accept that. That's for another podcast. We all know what happened to Marvel, but they're never ever going to admit it. But it's absolute garbage.
Dang, shit ain't working. Marvel has already had conversations and put things out there and said, hey, man, they were already thinking about moving away from that way before this shit happened. Because Ant-Man didn't perform well.
Let me rewind it here a little bit.
Because Phase 5 sucks.
Exactly. If Ant-Man performed better and the show did a little bit better, they would have been like, there's a little nuance here.
Ant-Man wasn't as terrible as everybody said it was. I don't know why. It wasn't as terrible as everybody said it was. And I watched it again, and I'm like, I watched it 2 or 3 times. I'm like, it's not as bad as everybody said. Was it worthy of being went through one of the first 3 phases? No. But was it horrible, terrible? It was decent. And nobody liked the first 2 Ant-Man either. Right? This was the 3rd one, right? Yeah. Nobody liked the first 2 I liked all 3 Ant-Mans. I would say I liked all 3 movies. I liked all 3 movies. I don't know why everybody's dumping on it, but let's continue.
I hate when these companies try to take these moral stands.
Yeah.
Phase 5 sucks. The king shit ain't working. Marvel has already had conversations and put things out there and said, hey, man, they were already thinking about moving away from that way before this shit happened. Because Ant-Man didn't perform well. And because the whole Kang thing was getting too convoluted with the multiverse and all of this and that. They were already thinking about moving away from it.
Yeah, the whole multiverse thing is a big mistake. It's a huge mistake. Didn't work at DC. It's horrible. It's horrible.
But now
I didn't like it in the comic books.
I didn't want to act like they're taking some type of moral stand. They ain't take that kind of stand for Hawkeye.
Ooh.
Jeremy, what's his name? Jeremy Renner? What's his name?
Renner, yeah.
Now, mind you, Jeremy Renner was just allegations that his wife made. What was the allegations? That he put a gun in his mouth and threatened to kill himself or something like that, and threatened to kill her and the baby. Like, those are just allegations, right? I just don't understand when people pick and choose, when they want to stand next to people, because most people get those kind of allegations that Jeremy Renner did in a divorce court. A company like Marvel and Disney is moving away.
Yeah, she accused him of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse.
Come on, man. You know what I mean?
But in this case, he was still found guilty. Even though he's found guilty of the lesser charges, he still put his hands on a woman, and people would be like, there's no room for that. Put
his hands on a woman in the context of snatching his phone away and putting her back in the car and then taking off running.
Yeah, I mean, it's still...
away from her.
Like they literally said in the charges, it proves he didn't have the intent to harm her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So then why is there a charge in general? But I mean,
because you're not supposed to put your hands on people. Like, somebody steals your...
women sucking their teeth, by the way. I just want you to know.
All the men in the room
is crazy, not suck our teeth.
That
was the women in the room, Taylor and Nyla sucking their teeth. That was not us. Just want you to know that.
Yeah. Because technically, somebody takes your property, you're supposed to go to the cops. Hey, this person took my property, I want it back.
Nobody does that.
I'm glad that she said it. Listen, I think that they need to take a serious, hard look at these laws. And let's not be... let's take a look at this here. Robbery in the third degree, section 160.05, New York State Senate. I'm assuming that this is correct. The New York State Senate, NewYorkState.gov. I'm assuming that this is correct. Let me get this. So you can see where I got this from. New York, NewYork.gov, section robbery in the third degree. Because I've been accused of not doing my homework here. Penal Charter 40, Part 33, Article yada, 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 160. New York, robbery in the third degree. A person is guilty of robbery in the third degree when he forcibly steals property. Is snatching someone else's phone considered robbery? If so, why was she not charged with that? Same place, let's see, legislation, robbery in the second degree, section 1.0. 0.16, robbery in the second degree, robbery in the second degree. A person is guilty of robbery in the second degree when he, got to change that language, right? When he forcibly steals property and when he is aided by another person actually present or in the course of the commission of the crime or an immediate flight therefrom, he or another participant in the crime causes physical injury to any other person who is a participant in the crime or displays what appears to be a pistol, revolver, shotgun, firearm. The property consists of motor vehicle, yada, yada, yada. All right, so let me go back to this robbery in the third degree here. So the reason I put this up is a person is guilty of robbery in the third degree when he forcibly steals property. Now in Connecticut, right, it says I believe it says specifically taking from off of another person. So you're sitting in a car with your loved one, significant other, and they just snatch something out of your hand. That's technically a robbery, technically. So, and as this young lady is saying, nobody does that. Nobody's going to, and I think we got to take a look at this type of thing and say where we want to be as a society. We gotta have some context, some sense to our laws. In that, we got to make sure that they're fair and that these are actually things that people are going to abide by and follow. Right? So you should not expect people to do ridiculous things. Somebody takes your cell phone. Oh, I got to run and find the police. Come on, man. This is crazy. Right? So I think that he's right, that we got to have these conversations surrounding what it takes to defend yourself and what's actually going to happen in the real context of what's going on, right? We got to be able to have this context as far as real life and where we're really going to be, right? Where we're really going to be, what's really going to happen. All right, got a lot of editing to do for this video.
Listen, you know what's so crazy? Me and my cousin was working out yesterday, salute the perm, and he asked me that too. He was like, "Yo, so what do you do in a situation?"
Same conversation I had with my son. What do you do in this situation? This is a question, and I think that lawyers from all states, prosecutors from all states, police officers from all states ought to get together and have a conversation and put out a memo for every state and say, here's how you handle this situation. Don't tell us what not to do. Tell us what to do. Because what do I tell how does Charlemagne, advise his cousin? How does a lawyer advise their children? How does me as a former police officer, retired police officer, advise my son about how to navigate and negotiate regardless of the sex of the person that they're with, their gender, and as far as what and as far as their romantic status? She takes your cell phone. She takes your keys out of your hand. She takes your wallet. Won't give. How do you respond? You run down the street and call the police? How do you respond? She's attacking you, won't give it back to you. You try to get out the car, and then you try to place her back in the car in a place where she's safety. It wasn't like you pushed her head against the guardrail or anything. Here, get back in the car. Let the driver take you where they need to be. What's the response?
If you're Jonathan Majors, like, what do you do in that situation? I'm like, man, let her keep the phone.
Yes.
That's
what you should have done.
You already want to break up with her anyway. It's over. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like let her keep the phone unless he's trying to protect somebody, which he may have been doing in that case right there. If the rumors are true, and the rumors were it was the person we currently see him with all the time, Megan Good, texting him. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to leave the phone with her because, you never know. She might take that and run with that information. Mm. And they might not have been ready to be revealed to the world just yet. But I mean,
This is such a silly video.
It is not a silly video. Taylor said that video of him running is not silly. That is exactly what you should do.
I'm saying it's silly for her. Like, why is she chasing after him?
Thank you. It's not a silly video. This is something that every single man needs to understand is the context in the world that they are living in. That is not a silly video. He ran down the street to get away from her. He fled. What do you do?
Exactly what you should do if you're in that situation. Take off running.
Like that.
If a white woman hits you and you're a black man, run. I mean, run and scream for help. If any woman hits you, run.
Yeah, run.
Run. You can't. What can you do? There's nothing you're gonna be able to do in that situation. Because if she hits you and let's just say you grab her hands, like you just grab her, just to hold her to keep her from hitting you. Now I'm gonna get a misdemeanor assault charge.
Yeah.
Well,
because I didn't mean to do it.
She's definitely calling the police.
Well, yeah, her. Yeah, I'm just saying though, like.
I don't know, man. The moral of the story is with the Jonathan Majors situation, I just wish people, dealt with more nuance, and I wish people had, more of the detailed conversation about what he actually was charged with. And, just going back to what I was saying earlier, and even though this was presented in a court of law, so it makes sense, people take these phone calls and, these videos, and they piece all of these things together to create their own narrative. So most of the time, you guilty before proven innocent in the court of law. Marvel could have stuck around if they wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel didn't want to. Marvel wanted to prune Kang from their fucking timeline. Because they knew that Kang Dynasty shit was not working. The Ant-Man shit didn't turn out too well. They probably was looking at what happened with Flash and Ezra Miller. And Ezra had way wilder charges than Jonathan. Several of them. And DC still stuck by Ezra and put that movie out. Yeah. And it didn't do well. And they're probably looking at what just happened with the Marvels, and the lowest grossing movie of all time in Marvel history. And so they was like, you know what? Let's move away from this now. Let's cut our losses and let's try to reset this. And then that's the other thing, man, when it comes to these situations, it's like we crucify these people, but nobody ever talks about what the solution is. The solution can't just be don't date white women. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So that can't be the solution. So again, goes back to my point. What is the solution? This is almost over. So again, I got into this discussion. I don't know where we're going to go with here. So I'm gonna cut quite a bit of this out because it was just nonsense. So what is the solution to go from here? I don't know. But one of the things that we got into it with my son when I was having a discussion with him concerning how you comport yourself, how you conduct yourself, how you go about. This can't be the solution is to not date a certain amount of individuals and all this, right? And I don't know if they're going to get to it, but here they were talking about, my son and I, we were talking about the whole, jury selection thing, and then we also got into the whole plea bargain system. So I want to finish off with that, with the plea bargain system. So it was, Jonathan Majors. Some people are under the impression that Jonathan Majors didn't get a chance to do a plea bargain system. So the plea bargain system goes like this, right? So you get arrested. When you're officially presented with the charges at court, they're going to ask you, are you guilty of these charges or are you not guilty? So they more than likely write out the 4 charges that he was accused of: this aggravated harassment, this harassment second, whatever the charges were, assault 2. Yada yada yada. Okay, so you get the charges presented, and they're going to ask you. The judge is going to ask you, are you guilty of these charges, or how do you plead, guilty or innocent? Right. So he more than likely pled guilty. So pled innocent. So what? Let's just take the hypothetical here with the plea bargaining system. So the plea bargaining system is a system that has been designed to facilitate people faster through the court system. Instead of going to court for months and months and months, continuances, we just try to get this over with so people can get back to their lives, and so the criminal justice system doesn't become backed up with nonsense, people stealing candy bar cases. So. So they're going to ask you, what it is. So what happens if you plead guilty, right? So let's just say Jonathan Majors, okay, I'm guilty on all counts, Your Honor. Let me get back to it. So let's say, okay, you plead guilty. If you plead guilty, you're going to do probation, be on probation for 2 years and just don't get in any trouble. And that might sound good versus pleading innocent, going to court, being found guilty, which you're going to threaten you with. Listen, if we take it to court, we're going to, if this goes the full way, we're going to throw the book at you and we're going to get everything, right? So, or you could be looking at, maybe 5 years. So you can get 5 years in the pen, or you can get 2 years of probation. Which one are you going to take, right? But the problem is pleading guilty says that you did it, and it's forever on your record. So when you go to fill out a job application, you go to try to get certification or any type of license, right? These things can be held against you. You want to go back to school, you want to go to college, you want to move up in advance in your career, you want to open up a salon, all this type of stuff can be held against you, and they're going to ask about your criminal history. So is that a chance that you as a private citizen want to take? Is that a chance that you as Jonathan Majors want to take? And this is the domestic violence case. And I'm pretty sure that in almost all 50 states, if you are convicted of any type of domestic violence cases, either you are barred from owning a firearm for a number of years or permanently, depending on the state. I'm pretty sure. I don't know all 50 states. I'm not going to Google all 50 states to figure all that out, right? So know what the laws are wherever you live at. So if you plead guilty to any type of domestic violence case or any other cases like that, then you almost can never ever protect yourself with the use of a firearm. You can never ever have it. Is that a chance you want to take? Jonathan Majors, knowing that who wants to be labeled as a domestic violence woman beater in Hollywood? Would you want that hanging over you? You're already, in a certain realm, as these Charlemagne and his co-hosts here have been alluding to. There's already an issue with that. Do you want to have this other mark on your record against you that you are now a woman beater? Yes, Ezra Miller. Yes. Other people have had Jeremy Renner and other individuals have had issues, but do you want to take that chance? And I don't think that anybody would. And I would not advise anyone to take a charge of guilty because you don't know all the ins and outs of all what it's going to have for you in the future. Yeah, okay, you might not have to do 5 years in the pen, but you want to own a gun? You want to open up a taco stand? Do you want to apply for a job? Do you want to go back to school? You want to join the military? You want to, whatever it is you want to do, you have to be ready to answer as to whether you pled guilty and all that kind of stuff. So you really, really have to be careful about what you're pleading guilty to and understand the consequences of pleading guilty. So was Jonathan Majors offered that chance? I almost guarantee, I promise you 99% that they offered him that chance. And his lawyer probably more than likely said, no, we're going to fight these charges. And I would agree. And his lawyer was disappointed in the charges, in the conviction, and I am too. Particularly the assault charge, the unintentional assault. I mean, I don't know, what does that even mean? If I'm outside raking my leaves and the rake flies out of my hand and hits somebody in the head, can I be charged with unintentional assault? I don't know. Again, right, this is all complicated type of issues that the criminal justice system really can't really address adequately. You can't say that somebody unintentionally caused an assault, right? Okay, then it's not an assault. It's an accident. And clearly what Jonathan was doing was not an accident. He was trying to defend himself and trying to put himself in the best position to escape from a potentially volatile and more volatile situation. So I'm disappointed in that. You can't do anything about the harassment charge. If they got text messages, emails, and they show a pattern of him performing violent, threatening, intimidating, harassing type of behaviors, nothing you can do about that. So the only thing you can do from that is learn. Let's continue on with the video.
That can't just be the solution. The solution is...
I'm not saying I can't. That is a piece of advice. My brother, I'm concerned.
But I didn't hear anything about what my son and I were talking about. Maybe there's another video here about him getting railroaded, not being offered a plea deal, and not being offered whatever. But you got to be careful with these plea deals and community service, and if you're being offered that kind of stuff, right? It comes at a cost and comes at a price. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. I don't think that on the harassment charges that Jonathan Majors got railroaded. I don't think that, but I do think on the other charges that might have been very, very problematic. So let me know your thoughts, your opinions. And that's them trying to break it down. And yes, he's right. We got to do some research, got to read through the nuances. The press is going to relegate things. They're going to spin things. They're going to do whatever it takes to get people their eyeballs on their pages. And they're going to do all that. So we got to do our due diligence, do our homework in order to understand what we are, who we are, and where we came from, and understand what the narrative is. I covered up some stuff. What the narrative is that these individuals are trying to get us to believe. So, do your homework. Much love and peace. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Rate, subscribe, share.